In this video I'm going to show you how you can use labels to draw things. Um, I've got in my objects window an audio file like this.
About half of what he wanted to spend.
I've got the label file that contains the words in that file, which I've extracted from a more complicated label file. And I've got a spectrogram here, which I've produced earlier. And what I'm going to do is just show you various combinations of these things. So you can experiment with these and you can actually do all kinds of interesting stuff when you learn how PRAAT does it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to show you what happens if you draw a waveform and a label file together. So if you highlight the waveform, the sound file, and then the accompanying label file, which is called TextGrid, if you now click the Draw button and just say yes to everything, here's what you get. So you can see it's given us a drawing of the wave there, and it's also given us the labels that were attached to that wave file, and it's shown us on the waveform where the words begin or end according to the labeler's estimate. So that can be kind of handy for when you want to point out, for instance, the extent of voicing or the duration of friction or anything you want. It can be words, it can be syllables, it can be phonetic segments. It's up to you to decide what kinds of things you want to have as a label. So that's one kind of thing you can do. I will erase that and do something else. Now, what you can't do in PRAAT very easily is you can't draw spectrograms and labels together. So if you click a label file and a spectrogram file, no option appears at all. But it doesn't mean that you can't draw spectrograms with labels. It just means it's tricky. So here's the way to do it. First, click the spectrogram file and then go draw and then paint and then set it up the way you want it. I'll just accept what PRAAT's giving me for now. And you can see it's done its usual thing. So we've got a spectrogram. We can add some stuff to this. So let's just put some marks on the left every 1000 Hertz. Let's not draw dotted lines and let's say yes. So let's put the frequency there. Now I want to superimpose the text grid over this, and that's actually quite easy to do. So first of all, you drag the mouse over the spectrogram plus a bit more. Now you probably will have to fiddle around and see just how much extra you want. I'm never quite sure, it's a little bit hit and miss, to be honest. But if you just draw the box a bit bigger than what you want and then click on the text grid file and tell PRAAT to draw that, but just draw it by itself. What it's going to do now is put the text grid within that blue box, so it's actually going to superimpose it on top of the spectrogram that we've just made. So we'll say yes to everything here. So we want it to show the boundaries, use the text styles, and garnish. That means put boxes around everything. So there you can see what it's done. It's added the labels. There's a bit of a gap in between the bottom of the spectrogram and where the labels are, which is not so nice, but at least we've got a spectrogram that's got labels on it. What you can see here is, though, a little bit irritating because it's also got the word time in seconds here, which we don't necessarily want. So I'm going to show you another trick, which is very time consuming but does produce nicer pictures. So first of all, erase everything. And now let's draw the box and let's put the spectrogram back in. Except this time I'm not going to use garnish. I'm going to untick that and I'll say OK. You can see now it's just drawn a spectrogram, it hasn't put a box around it. Well, that's what I want, I just don't want it to say time at the bottom. So we've got the bare spectrogram, go margins, and then choose draw in a box. So we've got a box around it now. And then we want marks on the left every 1000 Hertz. So set that up. The distance is 1000, the unit is 1. Don't want dotted lines. Go OK. And now I think if I do the same trick as before, so make the box a little bit bigger, and then click the text file, and then draw the text file by itself and superimpose it on top of the spectrogram. This time I do want it to garnish it. There we go. It's better. The time thing there has gone missing. What probably isn't so good is I've got the gap, so let's see if we can get rid of the gap just by making the box a little bit smaller. I'm not sure this will work. Only just. So another way to deal with this is to play around with the garnishing and the box drawing and so forth, which takes a bit of time and can be a little fiddly, but quite often the results are worth it. So there you have how you can use PRAAT to draw labels, and you can put them with either waveforms or with spectrograms, or if you know how to make a pitch trace, you can also have PRAAT draw pitch traces for you as well as label them.